For the second time in less than a week, an air quality advisory has been issued for ozone pollutants along the lakeshore.
Yeah, during the summer months, this isn't unusual, but why are we seeing it just along the lakeshore right now? Fox 11's meteorologist Christian Palacio spoke with the DNR to find out.
On Wednesday, air quality alerts were issued for lakeshore counties from noon until 11 p.m. Every now and then during the summer months, you may see air quality alerts due to ozone concentrating along that region. But what is ozone?
Ozone is not directly emitted from any source. It's actually created by a photochemical reaction in the atmosphere between a few different pollutants.
Craig Czarnecki is the outreach coordinator with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Air Management Program. Volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and nitrous oxide, or NOxes, are the two main precursors of ozone. When sunlight and heat get involved, these precursors can react and form ozone pollution. Czarnecki tells me what factors may lead to these precursors.
Fuel combustion is a big one. Power plants and vehicles, anything that's going to be burning any kind of fuel, and that's for NOx. And then VOCs, other things, paint, stains, cleaning products, things like that. But majority is from fuel combustion.
But what are the reasons why ozone concentrates over the lakeshore?
Today, we have southwesterly winds, we have high temperatures, mostly sunny skies, which is going to help create that ozone. And then there's going to be a lake breeze later today that's going to help push those pollutants onto shore. So we have those larger urban areas, a lot of vehicle traffic, a lot of industry to our south. Those emissions blow out over the lake.
And ozone can cause a number of health issues. It can reduce your lung function if you have bronchitis, emphysema, and can even increase asthma attacks. Children, the elderly, those who are pregnant, and others with respiratory issues are considered sensitive groups. But there are ways to avoid or reduce your chances of exposure.
We ask that people in those groups try to make their outdoor activities shorter, less intense, take more breaks if you can, and then watch for any kind of symptoms, coughing, shortness of breath.
Another idea is to schedule your outdoor activities in the morning, since ozone concentrations are significantly lower before the conditions turn ripe during the heat of the day. Meteorologist Christian Palacio, Fox 11 News.
When we're talking about ozone advisories, I guess what exactly is that pollutant? Ozone is not directly emitted from any source. It's actually created by a photochemical reaction in the atmosphere between a few different pollutants. Usually we're talking about things like volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs, or nitrogen oxides. Those are the two main ozone precursors, we call them. Those are the two that react with heat and sunlight in the atmosphere, and then that reaction is what forms the ozone pollution. So as far as nitrogen oxides and VOCs, where those come from or what those are emitted from. Fuel combustion is a big one. Power plants and vehicles, anything that's going to be burning any kind of fuel. And that's both for NOx and VOCs. And then VOCs, other things, paint, stains, cleaning products, things like that. But majority is from fuel combustion and things like that. A few different factors go into it, but certainly, so geography, I should say, geography, meteorology, and then, as you mentioned, emissions transported from large urban areas near, Wisconsin, just to our south. So we have those larger urban areas, a lot of vehicle traffic, a lot of industry, a lot of emissions. Those emissions blow out over the lake, and then they kind of cook on these hot days with the heat and sunlight. So they react, make that ozone, and then later in the day when those lake breezes kick up, that ozone just gets pushed kind of right on to the shoreline there. So EPA estimates that Wisconsin contributes only between 8 and 16% to its own ozone concentrations. It's estimated other states contribute between 42 and 48%. And then the rest comes from international emissions and kind of other miscellaneous sources in there. I remember last year we had a higher than normal amount of ozone days, and then of course we had much higher amount than normal of the PM 2.5 or wildfire smoke advisory day last year. So ozone exposure can lead to or worsen a number of different health issues, things like chest pain, coughing, throat irritation, airway inflammation. It can reduce your lung function if you have bronchitis, emphysema, or asthma. it can worsen those conditions also. And then children are at the greatest risk of exposure to ozone because their lungs are still developing and they are breathing more frequently and more often than adults do also. So yeah, so coughing, sore, scratchy throats, it can inflame or damage your airways. Again, can aggravate asthma, emphysema, bronchitis, and it can increase asthma attacks also. People in those sensitive groups would include children, as I mentioned, but also the elderly, those with, again, any of those respiratory issues, people who work outside, those who are pregnant would also be included in those sensitive groups. So really, when we have these advisories like we do today, we ask that people in those groups try to make their outdoor activities shorter, less intense, take more breaks if you can, and then watch for any kind of symptoms, coughing, shortness of breath, those type of things. That'd be a sign to take it easy, take a break, move indoors if you can. And then the other thing you can do, plan your activities for the morning. When we have these advisory days, typically, again, this ozone forms during the heat of the day. So in the mornings when it's cooler, our ozone concentrations tend to be much lower in the morning hours. You can sign up to receive air quality advisory notifications via text or via email. So I can pass along that link. People can sign up to do that. We do also have all of our current air quality conditions on our DNR air quality mapping tool. It's an interactive map that you can see all the different monitoring stations from across the state, and then what the current pollutant values are across the state there. So another good place to check. Otherwise, we do have a mobile app. Wisconsin AQM is the mobile app. Again, that'll give you all the information from our statewide air monitoring network. It'll have all your advisory information. You can look up specific monitoring sites and information from those as well. So you can use the app. Otherwise, other places, EPA's Air Now is another great resource. You can just Google EPA Air Now, type in your zip code, and it'll show you current air quality conditions right for your area. So that's another good, quick, easy place people can go to check out that information.